What happens when millions of people disappear overnight? A body is discovered in his Tesla, and a budding star has billions of streams. You were killed by me. I'm thinking, whoa, as I reflect over the last 8 or 9 months of my life. My life is being soundtracked by these songs, dude. The tale of D4vd is not solely one of celebrity. It's about how quickly everything can fall apart when money, music, and murder come together. And this is just the start. How the bank went from millions to bankruptcy in a single day. Listen up, EO, because this story is one of those instances where the reality turns out to be more bizarre than any hood rumor, Netflix doc, or rap song you've ever heard. We're talking about D4vd, whose full name is David Anthony Burke. He's a 20-year-old kid who earned millions of dollars from TikTok songs after recording in his sister's closet. Now he's drowning in legal smoke, public criticism, and financial collapse all at once. Have you heard the title? After killing his lover, D4vd discloses that he is going bankrupt. And while the invoices paint a different picture, it sounds like tabloid fuel. When you combine the timing and the numbers, you see that this is the exact kind of collapse that young artists are terrified of. There is controversy. Money is vanishing more quickly than it ever arrived. According to industry insiders, the bag is gone, over, and finished, and police are raiding his house. The absurd thing is that only a few months ago, this individual was soaring to fame, poised to become the next Gen Z celebrity, and had a $2 million fortune before turning 21. People are shaken because it demonstrates how quickly one can go from wealthy and untouchable to broke and disposable the moment. Scandal and criminal activity enter the picture. Since you have to comprehend the situation he was in prior to everything falling apart, let's start at the beginning. D4v had amassed an estimated $2 million by the beginning of 2025. It's crazy for a 20-year-old who literally began by recording songs on his iPhone in his sister's closet, but that's not old head rapper money from a legacy library. The man emerged from popular songs like Here With Me, which went viral on TikTok edits, and Romantic Homicide, which stopped on its own. He was eating thanks to those streams, tours, merchandise, and endorsements from brands like Crocs and Hollister. His July-September 2025 U.S. tour legs had already brought in millions of dollars, and the planned European leg was expected to generate even more. He had brand deals coming up, collaborations planned, and rumors of upcoming collaborations with Red Bull and Nike. He was Billboard's golden child, the kind of child who, in the age of TikTok, labels hoped to find. That was the mood. A young artist on the verge of becoming a household name found gold. However, things quickly changed. The Los Angeles Police Department was summoned to a tow yard in the Hollywood Hills on September 8, 2025. And the abandoned Tesla Model 3 that had been sitting there for days had been causing the personnel to complain about a foul stench. When police opened the frunk, they discovered black plastic bags that looked like they belonged in a crime movie. The decaying remains of a young child were found inside those packages. Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a Houston resident who was reported missing from Lake Elsinore in Riverside County on April 5, 2024, when she was 13 years old, was eventually identified as the 15-year-old. Now, keep in mind that this Tesla wasn't just any automobile. David Anthony Burke, also known as D4vd, was the registered owner. His name was permanently etched on this catastrophe from that point on. It was categorized as a homicide investigation by LAPD, and even though he hasn't been prosecuted or taken into custody yet, the finding alone was enough to start upending his entire world. All of a sudden, a real homicide case revolves around the romantic homicide child. After that, nothing in the industry moves in the same way. People did what they always do, retrieved receipts. In 2023 and 2024, fans discovered images and videos of D4vd hanging out with a girl who bore a striking resemblance to Celeste. Look at it, huh? Respond to the question. If you don't respond, that's really cruel. Which one? Which one? Which one? Having a large family was beneficial. Screenshots of purported Discord conversations in which he acknowledged having a gore video addiction and even assisting Celeste in fleeing her house reappeared. His songs themselves began to be reframed as confessions. Lines like, "In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true," from his hit song Romantic Homicide, which he always claimed was metaphorical, are included. However, the body discovered in his Tesla is now being referred to as prophetic. Celeste, a leaked song from late 2023, began making the rounds on the internet with lyrics that alluded to despair, intimacy, tattoos, and infatuation. All of a sudden, it seemed like a terrifying journal detailing his interactions with Hernandez. Thus, in addition to the legal system's pursuit of him, he was already being tried and found guilty in real time by the public court of opinion. This is where the financial aspect enters the picture, because scandals of this magnitude drain bank coffers in addition to ruining reputations. The statistics make it evident why individuals believe that bankruptcy is not only possible, but inevitable. First, let's discuss legal fees. In Los Angeles, high-profile homicide cases are not inexpensive. At least $100,000, if not more, is what we're discussing. The sooner a suspect hires a lawyer, the better, even though many of them charge hundreds of dollars an hour. The cost of hiring an attorney for pretrial proceedings, expert witnesses, private investigators, and other costs are not covered by this fee. Those expenses might skyrocket if the matter actually gets to trial. According to reports, D4vd had already hired a crisis management company by September 12th. 4 days after the Tesla discovery, focusing immediately on forensics and public relations. Consider that. He has already spent half of his $2 million worth in less than a week simply hiring lawyers for public relations. That figure multiplies, or even triples, if he is indicted and he just does not have that kind of money on hand. Before the jury ever hears his name, he could be bankrupted by a single indictment. Next came civil lawsuits. Hernandez's relatives aren't taking it easy. They have already declared their intention to seek justice, and cases involving wrongful death usually have a value ranging from nippy hustle lawsuits to that amount. In addition, there are rumors of hush money payouts, which could lead to additional minor fans coming forward to demand damages or pressure. They might each hit for an additional $5,000 to $10,000, and the sum quickly mounts up when you compound that by the number of alleged victims. Additionally, keep in mind that deliberate actions are not covered by insurance coverage. In the event that any of these actions are successful, the money will be taken straight from his personal assets. On top of the criminal legal fees, it's an additional $1 million or $2 million that will evaporate by 2026 at the latest. Not to mention the tours. He was supposed to be gross between the Withered World Tour, which was his bread and butter, but it was over after September 8th. He led the whole European leg as well as the 2 U.S. performances in New York and Los Angeles on September 18, 2025. After the body was identified, he also stopped a deluxe edition of Withered from being released. Yes, there was a direct hit of $1 to $2 million. However, it doesn't end there. All promotional material that featured him was removed by the promoters. Fans who had already purchased tickets had to be reimbursed, and venues that had reservations sought refunds. He even had to remove merchandise, such as a bloody shirt design that people were making fun of for being unappealing. Since the controversy, the entire tour has obviously become another expense rather than a source of revenue from shows. Then there are the names. Within a week, all of his endorsement deals fell apart. On September 9th, Hollister let him go. Crocs came next. By September 19th, Ki-Uk had discreetly removed the collaborative post. Additionally, on September 18th, Intercope Records suspended all promotion. Only from brands has that disappeared. His royalties were reduced by almost 70% when Spotify demoted him on playlists. Before they were even inked, future collaborations were dead. Red Bull and Nike aren't touching him anymore. In other words, his financial future vanished in a single month. His base costs alone are outrageous. You have to realize that when you're as successful as he is, your bills will continue to be paid even if you quit your job. Just to get his Tesla out of impound, he is paying an additional $10,000 or more. Furthermore, nothing is coming in to make up for it because royalties have been blocked while the investigation is ongoing. Compute. By October, A $2 million net worth is broke after spending $500,000 a month. Analysts claim that this is arithmetic, not just conjecture, for this reason. There is no dishonesty in the math. In the best-case scenario, analysts believe he could recover with just a $1 to $2 million hit if he is miraculously cleared by December. He might even recover if the issue sparks a surge in interest. The more practical baseline, however, is harsh. In 9 months, he will be in serious financial trouble. He will either liquidate everything, sell his assets, or declare bankruptcy by the middle of 2026 if he gets convicted. And analysts believe it to be the most likely scenario. Nor is it as if we haven't seen this before. There is almost a trend of artists becoming bankrupt due to controversies. TLC declared bankruptcy during a period of platinum sales. Twice, Toni Braxton lost everything. MC Hammer went from $30 million to nothing. Despite having a $155 million net worth, 50 Cent had to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2015. Our lawsuits and legal expenditures caused Kelly's entire business to collapse. Every time, it's the same tale. Young musicians are becoming well-known very quickly, getting involved in scandals or legal issues, and then their bills begin to outweigh their income. And the most recent casualty of that same cycle is D4vd, who is only 20 years old. The fact that the industry turned against him so fast only adds to the tragedy. He played to sold-out audiences in Chicago on September 7th. His Tesla was in the press by September 8th. According to the LAPD, brands were cutting him off by September 11th. His label froze him out by September 18th. Fans were divided by the 20th of September. Half swear his music saved their lives, and the other half brand him a monster. However, fan devotion is irrelevant when it comes to money. The machine stops working, sponsors withdraw, venues blacklist you, and boycotts ruin streams. That's how quickly everything falls apart. Therefore, it is not hyperbole to argue that D4vd is disclosing that he is going bankrupt after killing his lover. No stretching, no debunking. The facts add up. He spent all of his money on the lawsuit. He was abandoned by the brands. The excursions fell apart. There is a line of litigation. He is unable to keep up with the rapid burn rate. In just a few weeks, he's already halfway broke, even though in a few years he went from TikTok closet recordings to a $2 million net worth. The remainder of that bag will also be gone if this continues. The public backlash and the chronology of the murder case. We now have the opportunity to delve into the other half of this crazy after laying out how the money began to dry up in the first section. The murder case itself, the specifics of the discovery, the victims and D4v's past interactions, the officers' actions, and how the news spread like wildfire on social media. Because the internet doesn't require a trial when you hear about a body discovered in a Tesla that was linked to a 20-year-old rock star who sang songs about killing lovers. Overnight, it develops its own story. And in this instance, that story has been as detrimental to his career as the actual LAPD inquiry. This is how it all transpired. The LAPD is summoned to a tow yard in the Hollywood Hills on September 8, 2025. For at least a month after it was discovered abandoned in the Hollywood Hills, a black 2023 Tesla Model 3 had been impounded, and staff had been stumbling over its foul odor. People initially believed it to be rotting food because of how bad the smell was. However, the police discovered black plastic bags packed within the frunk when they opened it. But those bags weren't garbage. A young girl's decayed and mangled body was in their possession. Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a 15-year-old Houston resident who had been missing for more than a year since April 2024, when she was 13 years old, was eventually identified by forensics as the culprit. This was just another story about an impounded car, but that one revelation alone made it one of the most alarming celebrity-related cases we've seen in a long time. And before he understood what had happened, his name was in the news all over the world when LAPD ran the plates and discovered that the Tesla was registered to David Anthony Burke, D4vd. The disarray was exacerbated by the state of the body. According to accounts, forensics had to put in extra effort to collect evidence because the bones were partially severed and extremely deteriorated. Her dental records and DNA verified that the victim was Hernandez, even though they were first unable to identify her. It was at that point that the controversy was given a name. Now, rumors concerning D4vd and Hernandez existed long before the Tesla finding, which is why this case went so quickly. Screenshots of purported Discord conversations from 2023 began to circulate, revealing D4vd at the age of 18, suggesting that he pursued younger women because girls his age were LGBTQ. This occurred around the same time he was having a private conversation with Hernandez, who was only 13 or 14 at the time. Videos and pictures of them together at events in Houston appeared around the same time. Fans instantly connected their matching tattoos to his 2023 EP, Petals to Thorns. According to reports, Hernandez's brother reported a grooming issue to the Houston police in 2023. However, police said they discovered no proof and dropped it when they conducted a welfare check at D4vd's residence. The rumor persisted nevertheless. Additionally, some fans made the connection when Hernandez vanished in 2024, although it never gained widespread attention. Everything just came back to life like gasoline on a fire when her body was discovered in his vehicle. As part of the inquiry, the LAPD investigated a Hollywood Hills home that Burke had previously occupied on September 18, 2025, confiscating evidence, including a computer. Therefore, the story appears poor even in the absence of an arrest. Police invading your home, tattoos that match your album, a missing girl, and a body in your car. That's sufficient to have people accuse you in public. His music now feels like foreshadowing, which is one of the most unsettling aspects of the entire narrative. His 2022 breakout single, Romantic Homicide, was recorded in his sister's closet and went viral on TikTok due to its sinister lyrics about killing love. Once they learned that a body had been discovered in his car, the words, "In the back of my mind, I killed you and I didn't even regret it," struck a completely different chord. Supporters began to claim that the song was a confession rather than merely a metaphor. Then there's Celeste, an unreleased song that was recorded but leaked online immediately following the scandal. Obsession, tattoos, and missing someone so deeply that it makes you depressed were all mentioned in the lyrics. More rumors that the song was about Hernandez were stoked when Hernandez's family revealed that her boyfriend's name was David. David was the name of his boyfriend. After that, their tattoos matched. It was a love letter that was turned into evidence according to online detectives. The internet doesn't wait for autopsy reports, whether that's true or not. In real time, it constructs its own case. In relation to the autopsy, that created yet another degree of doubt. The coroner postponed revealing the cause of death since the body was so deteriorated. No one even knows whether Hernandez was strangled, overdosed, or killed in some other way because toxicology tests are still waiting. According to certain beliefs, she may have overdosed and the body was concealed to hide it. Others hypothesized that she might have been pregnant and worried about how it would affect his career, but D4vd might have killed her. Social internet speculations even allege that the body was placed in his Tesla in order to frame him or cause him to go bankrupt. However, this is confirmed. It is being handled as a homicide by LAPD. They have already raided his house in search of proof after receiving thousands of suggestions from followers all around the world. Even in the absence of accusations, there is too much smoke for anyone to think he is innocent. The way this tale spread on social media in 2025 serves as an example of how quickly reputations may be destroyed. The hashtags were all over X, the former Twitter. D4, VDI, Justice for Celeste, and threads dissecting tattoos, old lyrics, Discord leaks, and more. He was defended by several fans who said things like, "His music saved my life and I don't believe he could do this." Other fans were brutal, accusing him of being a killer, a predator, or a monster who uses sad boy lyrics to commit murder. The damage was done, but the split was instantaneous. No promoter, label, or brand wants to be associated with someone who is on the rise for kidnapping and murder. And that explains why the financial meltdown we experienced in the first section was so severe. The money vanishes before the court even steps in after social media determines you're guilty. Hernandez's family publicly calling for justice and stating that they think she was groomed didn't help either. People believed that the police had disregarded warning indications, and now a young girl was dead, which changed the story from a celebrity scandal to a system failure. Online indignation was only increased by that aspect. He appeared worse with each fan thread, TikTok analysis video, and Reddit post that examined his tattoos and lyrics. More fuel was added to the fire when former instructors and Discord moderators began to share their own tales of Hernandez and him meeting online. Furthermore, the similarities between this scenario and previous music controversies are astounding. It was compared to R. Grooming was the foundation of Kelly's empire, which he watched fall apart due to lawsuits and the Hashmutter Kelly movement. Others likened it to XXXTentacion, who was accused of horrific crimes while his music was popular on SoundCloud, dividing supporters from detractors. There were even many who compared it to TK, whose song The Race was recorded while he was fugitive for capital murder. The scandal wrecked careers, led to label drops, and made bankruptcy likely, yet it didn't stop people from streaming in any of those cases. D4vd is currently in the same lane. This is the bottom line. The body in the Tesla, the resurfacing grooming claims, the prophetic lyrics, the canceled concerts, the brand partnerships, the social media outcry, the homicide investigation. All of these things combine to form an uncontrollable storm. The harm is done regardless of whether he is ever charged. Celeste Hernandez will always be associated with his name. His money is disappearing more quickly than he can keep track of, and his lyrics will always be interpreted as confessions. It could take months for the LAPD to drop an indictment. Even though the autopsy may take weeks to complete, the public's perception has already rendered a guilty decision. The pattern of artists losing everything, lyrics and legacy. It's time to take a step back and examine the larger picture. The song that has been troubling fans the most, the music itself. After we've gone through the money breakdown and the murder case timeline with all its craziness in the first 2 chapters. Because people enjoy playing detective, if you know anything about how the internet functions. In this instance, they have been analyzing D4vd's lyrics as if they were evidence from a murder scene. Every sentence, title, and tattoo connection has been twisted into a confession or prophecy. When we combine that with the lengthy list of musicians who came before him and lost everything due to legal disputes and scandals, we see not just a young artist going through a difficult time, but a pattern that keeps coming up in the history of music. Let's begin with Romantic Homicide, the song that first brought him fame. This song was released in July of 2022. Using just his iPhone and the free BandLab software, he recorded in his sister's closet. It was evocative, cinematic, and ideal for editing on TikTok. Gen Z took the song and ran with it, making films of late-night sobbing, breakup edits, and the full thing. At number 33 on the Billboard Hot 100, it reached its pinnacle. However, in 2025, people no longer hear it in the same way. Suddenly, what used to seem like metaphors turns into admissions. No, not a tear. The line, "In the back of my mind, you died, and I didn't even cry. I killed you, I think to myself, and I didn't even feel bad about it." Being referenced everywhere, from TikTok breakdowns to Reddit discussions, as though it was an early look into what police would eventually discover in his Tesla. "I killed her in the back of my mind because I had made the decision to do so." "I killed you" is actually more of a metaphor. I make an effort to keep that in the back of my mind in particular. I say it so loudly for that reason. You died in the back of my thoughts. I killed you in the back of my mind. It's all in the mind then. Furthermore, the internet doesn't care about subtleties. Despite D4vd's constant claims that the lyrics were only about eradicating feelings rather than persons. The story sticks once it does. The unsettling aspect is that other songs are also being interpreted in a different way these days. Celeste, an unpublished song that was recorded but leaked online a few days after the Tesla discovery, went viral on social media. Obsession, tattoos, missing someone till it feels like depression, and even a girl named Celeste are mentioned in the lyrics. The music was suddenly being handled like a smoking gun. In 2023, he allegedly wrote and recorded a song called Celeste, in which he basically talks about this girl he's in love with. I believe he even stated something about a tattoo on her chest. It was no longer important if the song was truly about Hernandez, or perhaps even about his current lover Celeste. There is no turning back once the crowd thinks it is proof, according to the internet. And it didn't end there. Songs like More Than Just Friends, which came out in early 2024, began to be analyzed for themes of power, manipulation, guilt, and murderous threats. You assured me that we would just ever be friends. However, I don't give a damn. I am going to terminate it now. You never gave me much thought. I warned you to keep it 10 or you'll die, but it was all a lie. Oh, I apologize for causing you any discomfort. I followed all of your instructions. What's the matter with you? Lyrics that spoke of clinging to someone younger and not being able to let go began to be reframed as additional proof of grooming. Fans criticized even his EP Petals to Thorns, reminding out that Hernandez supposedly shared a matching female tattoo. Fans claimed that the lyrics about love ending in death in the song Afterlife, which was taken from his 2024 album Withered, further demonstrated that his music was a journal of what truly transpired. Regardless of the validity of these beliefs, it is evident how the incident changed his discography from depressing boy songs to what are now known as predictions. However, this change in the way fans understand songs is not new. We've witnessed it previously. Fans began interpreting XXXTentacion's lyrics about suffering and anger as admissions when he was being charged with domestic abuse. When R. Kelly was accused of grooming children, age became more than just a number, and the phrase, "You seem ready," became evidence rather than just a song. TK was practically on the run for murder when he unleashed The Race, and it was streamed as if it were the music to a documentary. That is the irony of music scandals. The tunes continue to be well-liked. They occasionally become even larger, but the meaning changes in ways that harm the artist's reputation while increasing their streams. And D4vd is currently experiencing precisely that. Following the Tesla discovery, romantic homicide rates skyrocketed. However, those royalties are on hold while the LAPD looks into the matter. Therefore, the platforms are the only ones benefiting from the attention, not him. There is no denying that this incident has put his legacy in a whole new category, whether you agree with those beliefs or not. He was the face of a new wave of Gen Z artists prior to September 8th. From gaming montages to billion-stream songs, this young person has come a long way. With just a phone and a few applications, he demonstrated that you could succeed from the comfort of your bedroom. He was receiving accolades for his cinematic soundscapes, vulnerability, and status as the next major crossover star. All of it, however, disappears after September 8th. People no longer associate his name with Billboard honors. They recall lyrics that resemble confessions, Celeste Hernandez, and LAPD raids. There is no longer any celebration of his catalog. In a courtroom, it's being examined like evidence. That is the distinction between an artist who leaves a lasting legacy and one whose career ends before it has even begun. And as I mentioned before, this is nothing new. There are many musicians throughout music history who lost everything they had or were destroyed by scandals. When litigation totaled $78 million in 2015, 50 Cent, a legendary figure with vitamin water deals and a $155 million net worth, filed for Chapter 11. And it doesn't even include musicians like Meatloaf, Sly Stone, Willie Nelson, and others whose entire empires were destroyed by scandals, IRS disputes, and lawsuits. What is the commonality among the cases? The drama was too long to be outlasted by the money. The same artists who once had it all are selling assets or declaring bankruptcy as a result of skyrocketing legal costs. Civil lawsuits that cost millions of dollars. Advertisers pulling away and labels freezing checks. Since D4vd is so young and fresh to the game, his situation follows the similar pattern, but it is accelerated to hyper-speed. Decades of catalog royalties are hardly a safety net for him. His devoted, older fan base doesn't overlook indiscretions. He is 20 years old. Gen Z is his fan base, and they change things fast. According to the forecasts, if nothing changes, he may wind up bankrupt by the end of the year. Furthermore, money isn't the only factor. His name, his music, his legacy, all of them have been permanently altered. Even in the event that he is never indicted, the scandal's stigma remains. Even if he released another song tomorrow, the video would still have comments labeling him a pedophile or murderer. Every tattoo, song, and image will be interpreted through the prism of this case. He has very little chance of recovering because of this. He is battling more than simply the LAPD. The internet is the source. It's the sector. History is being repeated. Some supporters are still hopeful that if he is cleared, he might have a similar comeback story to Justin Bieber's following his controversies. Or he might even pull a 6ix9ine inning, where he capitalized on his notoriety and still managed to find a following. The character of the accusations, however, is different in this case. You don't recover from a controversy involving the grooming and murder of a youngster with a popular song. Labels won't take the chance. It's off limits to brands. Additionally, those who have previously stood up for you won't be able to muffle the criticism. In the best scenario, he will evade the charges and manage to perform underground for a select audience. The worst-case scenario is going bankrupt, going to jail, and having your name eternally linked to one of the most sinister tales in music history. We have now concluded this in-depth analysis. Click the bell to receive notifications, click the subscribe button, then look at the cards on your screen for additional videos if you want more tasty material like this. Remember to leave a comment below with your thoughts.